Okay, Reggie, I have Greg on the line, and he has a bone or two to pick with you about this fifth person in the white Cadillac situation you were talking about. So I'm going to merge you in and let you guys discuss it amongst yourselves.
What up, Greg?
Hey Reg, how you doing, man? Happy
Good.
holidays.
Same to you, brother. You pick
Good,
up our Bomb First t-shirts yet? Our Bomb First and any of our t-shirts yet? Make sure you go and pick up one of these and make sure y'all get it out before the holidays. You still got enough time to get it there. But now I'm just fucking with you, Greg. I know you want one of those P-Funk shirts. Matter of fact, I'm gonna send you a P-Funk shirt so you can wear it around.
Well, actually, I happen to hold one of the ones. Remember, Mom James had those Death Row shirts.
I remember.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah, those. Got one of those.
Yeah, you be showing them at all your little police conventions and stuff. Got it up there. Nah.
Anyways, yeah. So, yeah. Happy holidays to you and John. I don't technically have a bone to pick with you. I just wanted to, caution you about putting out information that is erroneous. And I know that perhaps you believe that it is true or it could be true. But also, without evidence, without actual evidence, when we base things just on rumors or some type of internet gossip, it's really unfair to the people that are being, accused. And I know you've gone out of your way not to mention names, but I think we all know, anybody who's paying close attention knows who we're talking about. And I just think it's unfair to people to be falsely accused of things. And you should know more than anybody, as
Correct.
a person who has been accused of things, how dangerous it is. In fact, if we look back at the murder of Biggie Smalls, Biggie was murdered because of bad information. People believing that he had been in Vegas, people believing he provided the gun, people believing that he had hired the Crips. So we have to be really cautious when we make allegations or even suggest things that are proven to be untrue later. And so that's all I'm saying is that, be better than that. Don't be like these other fucking clowns on other platforms that just don't care about people's lives and people's privacy and people's right to not be held, guilty before proven guilty. And so, some of these people we're talking about, they have families and they have professions and lives and kids. And so it's really important that we, I know I'm being a little bit carrying on, but, back in our day, Reggie, when you talk shit, if you're going to say something about somebody, there were consequences because there's a likelihood you're going to run into that person at a football game or at a club or whatever. And you were going to have to face the consequences of what you've said. That's when the world was smaller. Now with the internet, you can say whatever the hell you want to say without any consequences of being held accountable for it. And it's really horrible. And I think that, our platforms have to have integrity and protect people from false allegations when there's no real evidence.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm just saying that.
Got you. Now that I took the tongue lashing like a man, I just want to say, I respect what you're saying. Totally agree with what you're saying. But are you being like maybe RJ or Phil and all of that because maybe you didn't get the information and that's information you didn't get, you protecting your investigation? And maybe that there's something that was missing. I know that you probably investigated this because, I think we had talked about this particular person's name before. But when I got somebody that's close to these people, telling me that, Reggie, everybody been missing this link. And the reason why niggas don't miss this link and why Keefy D ain't never spoke on it is because this particular person was from the South Side area, not the Burr Street boys. And that's why he didn't bring him up because he don't really mess with him like that. That was mainly Orlando, good friend. And hey, I'm just saying the person that's saying this is, a person that, I won't.
Okay,
Go
let me
ahead.
just interject real quick here.
Okay.
So again, what we need to do is look at what people say,
Gotcha.
and then compare it to what is the known evidence. What do we know?
Okay.
What
The four people in the car is what you're saying? Yeah. versus
Yeah,
to
and so
yeah,
I'm not trying to protect anything
yeah,
because I have no reason to do that. Truth is important to me as it is to everybody.
correct.
I'm just simply saying when somebody's making a claim and it is not consistent with known facts and there's
Gotcha.
no evidence to support it, we shouldn't entertain it as a possible claim when it can be easily disproven. Now, I know exactly who you're talking about, who's saying this.
Correct.
And this guy was interviewed back when it mattered, back in 1997, interviewed by the police department, and does not tell that story. And then in 2007, when I get involved, I interview him extensively.
Okay.
And still, no mention of any of these things that he may now be saying. And so now we've got at least 3 different versions. And I always say that back when it mattered, that's when you're most likely telling the truth.
Correct. Yeah.
And
or when they got something on you. Or when they got something on you.
Or exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the case. For us, we had something on him back in 97
Correct. Yeah.
when he was interviewed. Now keep in mind, this individual was in jail at the time that Tupac was murdered. He was in custody.
Correct.
And, so he wasn't in Vegas. He wasn't even on the streets. He was in jail.
Okay.
And so, as time goes by and there's, these changes to the story, that should really raise some flags.
Got you. And I'm not up here trying to mess up the investigation because I want Keefe D to be served justice. I'll just say that word because I know people say, "Are you one another black man in jail?" Yeah, whatever. Yes, I do. For murder, sexual assaults, and women beaten, and domestic violence. Yes. So, yeah. But anyway.
And so, let's just real quick. I'll go over quickly evidence. Everybody across the board, from the time Tupac was shot and follow-up investigation thereafter, including our investigation, the consensus was always 4. Nobody ever said there was more than 4. Nobody ever said there might have been 5. And there were some witnesses that were able to be in a position, and these are eyewitnesses, in a position to see who's in the car. And right off the bat, hands down, Orlando Anderson is the number 1 suspect. Obviously, he's got the motive because of the fight earlier. But all of the calls coming into Las Vegas, all of the calls being told to Brennan and those guys back in Compton.
Correct. That's true.
99 out of 100, it's Orlando. And then a bunch of other names start getting thrown into the mix. Of course, T. Brown, he gets thrown into the mix. He's out on the street bragging about, him doing it. DeAndre Smith, he's out on the street bragging about his involvement. You've got different people like Darnell Brim's name being thrown in there. Bobby Finch's name being thrown in there.
Yeah.
Davion Brooks' name being thrown in there. So, when we have all these names getting thrown, we have to go back and figure out, through interviews and through informants and all of those things, to figure out who the most likely culprits are. And then you have an eyewitness like Keefe D, who is in a position, he's compelled to tell the truth, and he identifies the people in the car. Now, 3 out of those 4 people in the car were prime suspects already. Nobody was really seriously looking at Brim. Nobody was seriously looking at Finch. And nobody was seriously looking at Brooks, even though their names came up superficially early on. In fact, their names came up in Tim Brennan's early search warrant.
Correct.
As do other names. And so we have to just be careful because we know that all of these guys couldn't have been in the car.
Yeah.
Who is the most likely? And then who do the eyewitnesses in this particular situation identify?
Yeah.
You've got T. Brown saying he was there. You've got DeAndre Smith claiming he was there. You have Orlando Anderson who's boasting about it. And then now you have Keefe D. And so the most likely scenario that we can draw conclusions from is it's the 4 that
were actually there. Yeah. Okay, one more thing on that subject, and then we'll move on. The hospital thing. Man, this keep coming up. Did anybody ever investigate whether or not Orlando Anderson went to the hospital for a bad arm or a broken arm? We know we got Keefe D talking about they was going to the club to fight with this broken arm or dislocated arm or whatever. Have you ever heard of anybody going to an emergency room, even if he did go, and getting out within 2 hours from a dislocated shoulder?
Yeah, no, I don't believe that took place. There's no evidence to support that claim. I know that it was like a dislocated shoulder or something like that he had suffered during the fight at the MGM. There's nothing to support the fact that he was injured. He's sitting there having conversations with security and with police. He leaves on his own volition. Nobody that's with him says that he was injured. And keep this in mind, on September 11th, I think. No, September 10th. So 3 days after Tupac is shot, Orlando Anderson is shooting George Mack and a guy named Johnny Burgess. So Orlando Anderson's involved he's positively identified in this shooting. The gun is recovered at his house. And so George Mack and Johnny Burgess are shot by Orlando Anderson, 3 days after Tupac is shot. Right, yeah. Doesn't sound like somebody who's
with a bad arm, huh?
Yeah. And, and he's using a Mac 11 assault rifle.
Yeah.
And now keep in mind, 5 months earlier, Orlando Anderson shoots Elbert Webb.
Correct.
So now you've got this guy who's just...
Was it him or was it Big Dre? But they were together. They were together.
They were together, but the evidence is that Orlando was the actual gunman.
Okay.
So, but they were involved together, but Orlando was the gunman. So now you see that there's this guy who doesn't hesitate to shoot people. Within a period of 5 months, he shot 3 people, including Tupac.
Yeah. And now we know of. That's reported. Yeah.
That we know of. Now, if he's the guy.
Well, why we always forget Suge Knight? It was 4 people. Why we always forget Suge Knight?
Oh, and keep this in mind. One of the other really important witnesses is Trayvon Lane. Immediately after Tupac is shot, Trayvon Lane goes, or shortly thereafter, they all end up at the 662, and Trayvon Lane himself is positively identifying, saying Orlando Anderson, the guy that we just got in a fight with, was the shooter.
Yeah, I know, but they all said that's a lie. Trayvon didn't know Orlando. That's a Phil Carson and RJ, Uncle Fester and all them. They got people out there thinking that the whole thing is a lie and a setup at the Lakewood Mall. Man, I swear, these people, boy.
Well, yeah, you can their nonsense is so ridiculous. It's better just to ignore it.
You're right. I be trying. I try to, even at Phil Carson, I didn't know Phil. I thought he was a respected agent. He looked more like a crackhead. He's up there hugging Keefe D's son at the event like they best friends. That just show you that they just want to do anything to be right.
Right. I think that's exactly what it is, just a stubbornness. And it gets to the point where I don't even believe they believe what they're saying because it's gotten so ridiculous.
Right.
And so now it comes down to an integrity problem, a real integrity issue.
Yeah.
Because now you are knowingly purporting information that is untrue. And it's not that you believe it to be true.
You just got to be right. Yeah. That's why I respect Nick Broomfield. I used to give Nick Broomfield so much hell, but I respect the hell out of Nick Broomfield just because he's man enough to come out and finally said in a Rolling Stone article, I got it wrong.
Right.
I got it wrong.
And listen, all this stuff about being a fifth shooter and who the person is that they're claiming is that fifth shooter, because you and I know who that is. This is all going to come out in the trial.
Definitely. And it don't matter. People be like, it don't matter. The whole thing is, well, the Keefe D story is truthful or if it's a lie.
Well, when witnesses start being told or subpoenaed to testify, and then those witnesses get on the stand and are discredited, then you can go back and you're going to have to modify beliefs that you are purporting now.
Yeah.
So that's the thing where I say that everybody needs to reserve judgment, let this thing play out, but complicating it for Vegas, because listen, I know a lot of people are skeptical and somewhat judgmental about Vegas, but I'm going to tell you, the guy who's doing it now needs to be respected and appreciated. He made commitment. He said, before I retire, I'm solving this case. And he did
You're
it.
talking about the investigator. You're talking about the investigator.
Yeah.
Yes.
Investigator Mock. And
Yes.
so he did that. And so I think that we need to respect the work that he did and not try to complicate this any more than it is. Let it play out in court. And then we can all look back after the conviction or whatever happens and then put this whole thing to rest, because it's, dragging other people into it is just unfair.
Respect, Greg.